It took, again, 4 years, 8 shelved films for that first film of mine to release for exactly 3 days before it got banned. So none of my friends and family who finally were very happy about seeing my name on a poster, they were like, yaar, poster mein to naam dekha, lekin picture nahi dekhi humne. I'm not just running the creative part, I'm also heading the studio. So the budgeting, making sure that your film not just gets made in a budget, but also reaches the right audience. Fear, I feel, is the biggest problem for most of us. Because we get scared, we don't know what to do with fear. So then we act out of other people's wisdom. So our own innate wisdom to be intuitive about what's right for us becomes softer.
Performance marketing, e-commerce marketing, content marketing. Is this the world that you see yourself in? If you dream to work in these roles at Hindustan Unilever Limited, here's your chance. Apply to Altuni's certificate program in digital marketing with HUL. The participants achieved a return of 12 times the investment with an 80% average salary hike. Hurry up! Apply now to the program from the link in the description. Limited seats available.
कहानियों के बारे में ना सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट चीज़ ये है कि the more personal, the more localized, the more familiar it is, the longer it will travel, the deeper it will reach people. So that's why I came back and I did radio here.
Sharanya, before we move to films, obviously, you know, that's your current love, because obviously in your life कभी भी कोई भी चीज़ हो सकता है,
guys.
Correct.
हो सकता है यार, किसने बोला है?
Your current love is films, but this conflict journalism wala bit. I just want you to touch upon that as well, because it's not like you didn't have a brush with that.
I did.
And it's important for people to know what you felt or what you thought about it, why you decided to not pursue it, because those aren't stories that come out again. Not a common career choice.
Yeah, it's not a common career choice. It's not a safe career choice as well. So after quitting radio, I went back to wanting to pursue documentaries and films, but journalistic in nature. And there was the war happening in Sri Lanka. And I'm a Tamilian as well. And I got, let's say I came very close to experiencing what it felt like to be at that point in Sri Lanka, experiencing the things that I did. I came back very disturbed. My family often jokes about how I made them go on a family holiday with me to Sri Lanka to continue research, and my brother still hates it. He's like, who goes to Sri Lanka during war for research? For a holiday? Matlab, kaun karta hai ye? But my parents did it. When I came back, some of the stuff I had seen in Sri Lanka sort of exploded in my face, because some people I'd met were shot, and there were videos of them having been shot that was being circulated on the internet. That became a game changer for me, where I realized that what is the point of reporting a human story when I can't do anything to save that life or educate people about those lives? It was an immediate switch that went from saying, I only want to talk about stories, to saying, hey, can I shine light about the lives that have lived these stories? Matlab, ek to hota hai ki hum har roz we open the newspaper, we see these headlines. We forget it, yeah. But what happens to the people who are actually living these stories? So I said, what is a powerful way for us to talk about this? That's when I met my mentor, Santosh Sivan, who's a filmmaker. He was shooting Raavan with Mani Ratnam in Bombay, outskirts of Bombay, and I'd met him. And I'd met him through other journalist friends of mine who knew that I was very, very messed in my head because of all that I'd experienced. And they said, you need to meet him because he's looking for somebody like you. I went to meet him. And if there is anything called having 100% courage in telling someone to pursue something impossible, it is what I experienced that day. Because Santosh sir looked at me, and I'd grown up watching Dil Se and Terrorist and all his great films with kids, and here I was sitting at his house, office in Andheri, and he looked at me and said, Sharanya, why don't you write this? I said, what? He said, you have a story. Write it. And I didn't know how to write a film. I didn't know how to write anything that felt like a film. He said, so you learn. And I was like, why is he making me do this? Like, why is he taking this chance on me? And I came back home and I told my parents, like, oh, do you know who wants me to work with them? So they thought I'm going to work as a researcher. They didn't realize that he wants me to write a feature film. I had no idea how to write a film because none of my friends did films. No one in my दूर के रिश्तेदार ने फिल्मों की बातें की थी life में. But I feel like he opened an energy where I started discovering and learning from scratch what it is to write a script. What is a story? Who are these characters? Why will an audience member give 150 rupees of their hard-earned money to go to the theatre? Because of the power of the written word that a writer somewhere believed in to make things work from then on. And I feel like he took that chance on me, and it took, again, 4 years, 8 shelved films for that first film of mine to release for exactly 3 days before it got banned. So none of my friends and family who finally were very happy about seeing my name on a poster, they were like, yaar, poster mein to naam dekha, lekin picture nahi dekhi humne. And it was like one of those things where you're like, who's going to take this chance on me again? And then I said, okay, let's keep doing this because it's great and it gives you joy. And yeah, that switch from journalism to film happened at this point when this man and that life experience took that punt on me, I guess.
You've been writing films for many years now, and a lot of them have obviously seen light of the day. And you also won awards globally as well. So tell us about this career of yours. Also, what are the challenges that you face right now in this? Also, I mean, it's not that you are just doing creative work. You're also doing managerial work.
Yeah. Guys, everything I did not want to do, I'm suddenly finding myself doing, which is maths, which is tech. I've realized that tum kuch bhi karo, you cannot escape numbers. It's going to get to you. So for the last 7 years now, I've been working with TTT. I started off as the chief writer and creative producer for short films. So feature film ka sapna to wo ek film आधा आया फिर गया. Then I wrote another film called Bhosle with 2 of my friends. It took another 100 years to make it. Manoj Bajpayee won the Best Actor award for it a few years ago. It was great. But the anonymity of the work was beginning to get to me. I said, I have all these amazing stories. What do you do? So I joined TTT and we started doing these set of films using all the people I had met at some point of time or the other in my career. So it was very easy for me to now pick up the phone and call Jackie Shroff and say, why don't you work on a film with us? Because he was going to be the lead actor of a film that I was going to direct, which got shelved. So it was like, nobody got it. Everyone's like, ye shelve ho raha hai, lekin iska point kya? Like, what is she adding her life up to? And I met Anupam Kher. We made a film called Kheer, which was based on a life story which I had experienced with my grandparents. We started structuring the film division a lot more right before the pandemic hit. We were having a great run. We made a film called Kande Pohe with Ahsaas and Tushar Pandey. We made a film called Vedanarya with Nakuul and Sanaya. We made a film called Binnu Ka Sapna with Kanu Bell, which took us to Paris and we won some awards there and it was amazing. And we're now developing not just shows for OTT platforms, like our first film out of a set of 10 films with mini TV released 2 weeks ago. We're also doing 2 web shows now. But the most challenging thing came when we had to do branded content. Because the good part of the job is to do nice films that you want to tell. The tougher part of the job happens when you have to work with CMOs who come from IIT, IIMs, who say, Sharanya, how do you now make sense of our brand appearing in your film? And I think that has been the biggest unlock for me in the last 2 years. Because during peak pandemic, in 2020 July, when no one was shooting, we managed to get the first season of a show that I created called Butterflies, powered by Cadbury Dairy Milk Silk. And it was very challenging because notionally everyone can stay at home and work from home, but being on film, you can't work from home. Matlab, kitna work from home karega? You have to go on set, you have to unmask, the bichara actor has to act. We did that with a team of 18 people, including the actors. All of us were multitasking, doing everything. We shot over 4 days, peak pandemic. Our director, Keyur, was amazing. First season happened. We couldn't believe that in peak pandemic, a startup like ours was being able to unlock revenue through film, which was actually not considered viable then. We did season 2 with Cornetto. We did season 3 this year with Hershey's. We worked with brands like Tinder, with Edelweiss, with Ola, We're doing something very soon which is a much more ambitious show which we're doing on our YouTube channel. So the YouTube channel grew from literally 50, 70,000 subscribers when I joined to now we're at about 580,000 subscribers organically, because we felt that we're not very consistent in putting stories because making films is expensive. But the unlock with brands has been great, because suddenly I'm talking to people who always intimidated me with the clarity of their career paths, where they're taken in by my storytelling ability and say, oh my God, I wish we had people like her who could tell stories. I was like, why don't you hire us then, guys, and give us jobs, guys, but you need my degree. So it's been quite fun because something else is unlocked. But like I said, numbers has come back, because now I'm not just running the creative part, I'm also heading the studio. So the budgeting, making sure that your film not just gets made in a budget, but also reaches the right audience is as much responsibility. I don't know if you all know this fun fact. When you make a film, the same amount of money you put in making the film is the amount of money that goes into marketing the film and to putting it to the right audience. So I feel like that's the big thing I've learned now, saying it's not just about me learning the creative process, but also the making the product reach the right audience.
I mean, the one other thing is, which got hidden in a lot of this, is the fact that she spoke about just picking up the phone and talking to people, all the people that she met over all these years, right? So we keep talking about this bit around networking, making connections. Truly, since I have had like a ringside view, I don't know of too many people who are as good at networking as she is. How do you make connections, Sharanya, and why is it so important? Are you genuinely interested in their lives? Are you transactional about this?
There is no other way. You have, the good thing about wanting to tell a story is you have to be a good listener. And you know, people really enjoy when someone looks at them, looks into their eyes, and is deeply interested in their story. And that's the only way a real connection happens.
इसकी आंखों में देखो, deeply.
देख लिया. सबकी आंखों में देखने की कोशिश कर रही हूँ, guys. But I feel like that's the truth. You have to be genuine, because people will call you out. And those relationships will only last till you're being able to make a real connection. That connection sometimes doesn't happen over one call saying, sir, मुझे आपसे ये काम है, मैं आपसे ये सीखूंगा. नहीं. Sometimes it's just about sitting and having that first cup of coffee and letting the other person talk. And not even coming to your point. And I feel it's not a skill, you know, it's just being enthused about people and enthused about stories and wanting to hear everyone's stories. I think being a listener should be mandatory for everybody.
Abhi, we spoke about all the nice, good, amazing career choices. So confident, everything that you made. But tell us about your mistakes, because that's, I think, also something that people want to know of. Okay? Obviously, it's not all been easy and clear as well in this entire time. So, what would you have done differently? Or what do you... See, you may not have any regrets about it, but are there things
I have a lot of regrets. I have regrets every day, guys. And I think regrets are important because regrets are your biggest teachers. When you regret something is when you're aware of saying, Arey, us situation mein I should have done it differently. And that becomes what I learn from. It works for me that way.
So tell us about your mistakes and regrets.
Don't take love very seriously. No, guys, please fall in love and make stupid, irrational decisions for love. It's great. But I feel like this thing that Ankit spoke about earlier called drive, no? I'm not a driven person. I mean, it may seem like I made very driven choices, but I operated out of fear at many points in my life. And that ability to recognize my fear happened much later. Like, what really scares me is what drives me. Today, I decide to do things that feel like, ye to main kar hi nahi sakti, is the great starting point today. But many times in my life, I had opportunities. Like, for example, this job that he was talking about, it was in Al Jazeera English. I had a job with the Kenyan television network after I finished my master's. I should have taken that job up. That is a regret that I feel every single day, because I wanted to be in Nairobi. I wanted to be in Africa. I wanted to tell the stories of women and children. I didn't do it because of my mother's fear. Very valid fear, but I didn't have the tools to communicate. I kept saying that, Arey, mere parents itne cool hai, they've never questioned me, they've never stopped me from doing anything. Unhone mujhe kitna encouragement diya hai. So all they want is for me to come home and be safe. Because it was only at that point that my parents realized that what she wants to do is a job that's not a safe job. So I feel like that, I didn't know how to talk to my fears. I went once to Hyderabad on a lark to talk to an actor for a narration. We drove because we didn't have money to fly. So me, my director, and two of our friends, we just drove all day to Hyderabad to talk to this actor. The actor heard the story. He got convinced. He said, okay, so who's producing your film, Sharanya? I said, I will. He said, okay, how much money do you need to produce this film, Sharanya? I thought 10-12 lakh mein picture ban jati hai. And I was stupid, you know, because nobody taught me this. I said, I really want to tell this story, but I lost that agency, that one big actor, that one opportunity because I wasn't prepared enough. Because I was enthu and I drove up till there, but I didn't have a plan. So sometimes having a plan helps, sometimes. But always listen to what your heart truly wants, guys. Because fear, I feel, is the biggest problem for most of us. Because we get scared, we don't know what to do with fear. So then we act out of other people's wisdom. So our own innate wisdom to be intuitive about what's right for us becomes softer.
How do you upskill right now or keep learning right now?
I realize that it's very important to be a student. It's important to be curious about multiple things outside of what you're supposed to be doing for a job. And I realize that every day because I am in an industry where I'm meeting people who are ridiculously talented. It's not even like they are doing what they do, be it actors, directors, producers, studio heads, studio executives, marketing people, because they're very good at what they do. So you need to study. So every day I spend about 3 hours of my day outside of work hours. I wake up early in the morning. So the first 3 hours in the morning are for me to educate myself. It could be through podcasts. It could be through masterclasses that I did during the lockdown. It could be through writing programs that I'm still learning. Reading. I've realized the value of reading. Yeah, school mein we were told you have to spend some time in the library, but I think that when you read, you start learning things in between the lines that you can't hear or that you can't watch. And I feel like genuinely spending 3 hours of your own life on yourself is not a tall ask. So that, and I think the big problem with the pandemic was I had gotten used to video calls. So anything that needs me to get out of my house feels like an effort. I'm just like, be it meeting friends, be it meeting family, I mean, nahi, mujhe ghar se nahi nikalna. So now in the last 2 weeks is when I have made it mandatory for me to go out and not network, but reconnect with people who I really respect, who've done interesting things with their life, which means you drive for 45 minutes in traffic, it's fine. But that's my big learning.
Awesome. Enough of my questions. Questions from the audience now. So,
how that story has been on that, working with unconventional people and being diversifying in this genre, how that been for you?
I mean, I've only been witness to some of these pieces because the company is founded by Anuj Gosalia. He's the CEO founder, and he's the one who manages the entire team. So I've actually had the pleasure of sitting on the side rails and being witness to all these innovations. But I feel like when your platform or the stories you tell in your platform start becoming inclusive to ideas, inclusive to opportunities, inclusive to the way the internet is changing, you have no other choice but to innovate. So with somebody like Seema, I think she was like a fit for the team at Dobara who sort of created that piece because they realized that there is a need to talk about having a sexual conversation normalized in this country immediately. And she's been doing it so well, and I felt like she felt like TTT was the right platform to collaborate with as well. So I feel like it's important to also, the reason to keep learning is because the world is not the same place when I started out and today.
ऐसा कभी हुआ है that you weren't taken seriously while you were working in an organization, and like as a challenge, how did you handle that? Because you know it gets very difficult while you're working in an organization. बहुत तरीके के challenges
अरे बहन, ये तो मेरे साथ हर हफ्ते होता है where I don't get taken seriously by so many studio executives who's like, oh, she's a girl and she's at this position and पता नहीं, she's maybe doing some soft content. It happens all the time. Yeah. And the only way I have realized is I can't say anything. I just have to let the work talk. And for me, luckily, my work is the written word. So if they don't want to listen to my narration where they think I'm too yuppie for them, I've heard that comment, or she's too upbeat to tell an intense story, they read it. And sometimes they can't identify that the person who's written the story is the same person who's standing in front of me. That disconnect happens to me a lot. It is something that you have to be present in that moment while you're working. So my work temperament is actually, I'm an introvert. Much to people's dismay, I'm very good on stage because I do this for a living, guys. I talk for a living. Ye kya hai? Obviously, I'm good at it. But I'm actually, by personality, I've become, I think, a quieter person while I'm working. So for me, when I'm at work with my team, building something, a film is like a startup. You know, every 45 days, we put 80 to 100 people together to believe in a story. We make that story come to life, and then we disintegrate that team, and then we start again. There is no other way but to lead with conviction and to be taken seriously. But never stop having fun with it. So if someone is making fun of me, I have fun with it and I play, but when their job suffers, I can call them out immediately on it.
My father also told me that every organization you will work on in future, that will teach you one important thing. So what are those things with you, like in TV industry, in movie industry, and radio industry? So what are those three things?
That nobody will tell my story for me. That if I have a dream, I need to work at it. Nobody, no matter how nice or how talented or how confident I am, my dreams won't come true because anyone else cares about it. I have to care about it. That's the truth about this profession that I'm in, saying that if I am not driven or if I don't wake up excited by that idea will not happen. And that is the only lesson I've learned in every piece of storytelling, be it radio, be it television, be it film, be it digital. You have to own your dream every day, and that's a very hard thing because there are some days when you wake up not motivated. There are some days you wake up and feel like, yaar, why can't someone else just do it for me? And I'll just execute it. But it doesn't work like that. And I think that's the beast that I've signed up for because it's quite addictive.
Thank you very much, guys. You guys have been fabulous. But a big round of applause for Sharanya,
Thank
please.
you, guys.
Performance marketing, e-commerce marketing, content marketing. Is this the world that you see yourself in? If you dream to work in these roles at Hindustan Unilever Limited, here's your chance. Apply to Altuni's certificate program in digital marketing with HUL. The participants achieved a return of 12 times the investment with an 80% average salary hike. Hurry up! Apply now to the program from the link in the description. Limited seats available.